everyone, and welcome to the Kimberly Guilfoyle Show, live on Rumble, where facts come first and where news is done right. And even more big breaking news on multiple fronts today. The state of the 2024 race has Democrats pressing the panic button. Shame. As Donald Trump is polling stronger than ever, all while common sense Americans are less confident about sloppy Joe Biden. And get this, on Capitol Hill, Senator Chuck Schumer is showing his misplaced priorities and is now ditching the Senate's long-standing dress code, apparently to accommodate members like John Fetterman, who prefer to show up in a hoodie. And who better, quite frankly, to break down the chaos, the insanity, than the one and only, the man with style and substance, iconic political strategist, Roger Stone. He will be here in just moments, so don't move. And meanwhile, Hunter Biden is suing the IRS, charming, arguing that leaks of his tax information were just too embarrassing for him to handle. You cannot make this up. We're going to get top analysis with Article 3 Project founder, your favorite lawyer, Mike Davis. But we begin today with yet another poll showing the continued rise and triumph of Donald Trump and the continued momentum for the MAGA movement. Look at your screen, and a new poll from CBS News shows Donald Trump with a 1-point lead over Biden nationally and a whopping 15-point lead among independents, in yet another sign that Donald Trump is actually stronger than in 2016 and stronger than in 2020. And in a recent sit-down with NBC News host Meet the Press, Kristen Welker, Donald Trump was asked if he loses sleep over all the left's lawfare. Well, here's how he responded.
Indictments, 91 felony charges.
If you would say it properly, I'm facing 4 Biden indictments. He told the Justice Department to indict him, or Merrick Garland said, let's indict him.
Let me ask you this, Mr. President.
They indicted their political opponent.
I just want to hear from you on this. I want to know what's in your head. When you go to bed at night, do you worry about going to jail?
No, I don't, really. I don't even think about it. I'm built a little differently, I guess, because I have had people come up to me and say, how do you do it, sir? How do you do it? I don't even think about it. These are corrupt people that I'm dealing with. They're destroying our country. I don't even think about it. All I think about is making the country great, making America great. Look, these are political, these are Banana Republic indictments. These are third world indictments.
And it comes as Americans have as little confidence in Joe Biden as ever. Because also in the new CBS YouGovernment poll, just 34% of registered voters believe Biden would complete a second term if elected. And only 26% believe Biden has the cognitive health and ability to serve as president. And Biden's handlers at the White House are doing everything they can to hide him from any serious scrutiny. Here's just a small sample. Watch.
Let me close with this. There's a lot more I know we could talk about. I wish I had a chance to take all your questions, but I'm going to get in real trouble if I do that.
Well, and remember, this isn't about age. It really isn't. It's about stamina and mental acuity and ability to serve, quite frankly. Joe Biden, along with Democratic senators like Dianne Feinstein and John Fetterman, are showing more and more signs that they're just not up to the job. But Democrats would rather distract you from all of this. For example, Senator Chuck Schumer now says he's loosening the Senate dress code rules in an apparent effort to let Fetterman stroll into work in his shorts and a hoodie. It's really actually disgraceful. It's all just another example of the bizarre behavior of Democrats and why there's such a lack of confidence in our elected leaders and officials. Joining me now, iconic political strategist, author of Stone's Rules, and he's also the host of the fabulously successful Stone Zone, a man, by the way, of substance and style. They could all take a page out of his book. He's actually even given his opinion and awards and whatnot on fashion. The one and only great friend to this show, Roger Stone. Roger, thank you for being here with us today.
Kimberly, great to be with you. I'm just shaking my head about this decision to relax the dress rules of conduct in the U.S. Senate to accommodate one man who wants to act and dress like a child. I mean,
Literally.
John Fetterman can't wear long pants and put on a necktie as a long tradition of the Senate. There's such thing as decorum, look good, feel good. This is a serious business. He can't dress like a serious adult. And you said this best. If it's even John Fetterman, I mean, I don't think it's conspiracy, but as I look at pictures of him when he was elected and photos of him now, he doesn't even seem to be the same person. So is he an Addams Family body double, as you said the other day, which made me spit out my coffee? I thought it was so funny.
Funny, right? But it's funny because it's accurate.
It is extraordinarily active. It just shows you how sloppy the Democrats are and how they'll drop any standard of decorum or decency or appropriateness whatsoever. It really is a disgrace.
Yeah, it is. And I mean, I don't even know what to say. It's like such a weird lurch situation. And you look at him and it just shows no respect for the honor and distinction to be chosen to serve, however that happened with him, for the office. And I look back in the background and I say, oh, it was beautifully you're dressed. And I see Reagan behind there and I see the great Donald John Trump. And I just don't get it. Like, how do we fall this fast forward for this guy? I mean, the hoodie situation, I mean, I don't know. Is he like moonlighting, ransacking, looting at, Walmart and whatever across America? I mean, that's what he looks like. He looks like he just identifies as a wannabe, like gang member, teenager, somebody wilding, running around outside.
Well, one of the great lessons of the 1960 presidential debates was that John Kennedy understood that how you looked was every bit as important as what you said. And if you
Dress
wanted
for success,
people to hear you and pay attention to you, you had to look the part. We are looking to the people in Washington to be leaders, and therefore they need to dress like leaders. They don't need to dress like hood rats, and that's what this guy dresses like. It's disgraceful, and I think it is disrespectful to the people of Pennsylvania. This guy can't bother to put on a necktie. I saw this previously. How much have we paid the Ukrainian government? 131 billion. Now they're back for another 21 billion. Yet when Zelensky addresses both houses of Congress, he shows up in a dirty sweatshirt, a dirty combat sweatshirt. Now when he went to the World Economic Forum to speak, he wore a suit and tie, the proper garb for a national leader. But when he comes to us to lift another couple billion, he dresses like a degenerate. They say, oh, well, the last man to address both houses of Congress was Winston Churchill. That's right. And Churchill wore an impeccably tailored suit. Zelensky, we've given you $131+ billion. You can't afford a necktie, please.
No, he doesn't. He just he thinks he's like, wannabe friggin' G.I. Joe. But that Fetterman, I mean, what a creep, or whoever that is pretending to be him. I'm telling you something. I went to the car wash. They're dressed better in uniforms with more pristine outfits in the car wash than that guy is wearing to the United States Senate. How is that possible?
Well, look, one of Stone's rules is always dress appropriate for the activity in which you are going to engage. You see this in Donald Trump. The only time he dresses down is when he plays golf. And even then, he never wears shorts. He's always appropriately clad. I think this man spends 80% of his time in a well-fitting Brioni suit and his signature power ties. It's a signature look, but it commands authority. It commands respect.
I couldn't agree more.
Identify it with him. Fetterman is a mistake all the way around. And why should the entire Senate loosen its rules of decorum?
Yeah, why are they doing that? Is it because that guy's walking around with a giant baby Huey diaper and those like gangbanger board shorts? Like, what is the reason for this? And they just have to cover that up too? I don't get it. I'm dead serious. So he can't wear a suit, or he's got like weird like undergarments on? I don't know. I'm dead serious. I really think there's some reason why then Chuck Schumer is going to go ahead and make an exception for this or loosen the rules.
I guess it is because their margin in the Senate is so extraordinarily narrow that they have to keep this guy under wraps and keep him happy because they need his vote to stop anything meaningful from happening in the U.S. Senate. It's nauseating.
It's nauseating, that's for sure. Let's move on from that freak show. All right, let's go to some excellent numbers. I love math when it's on my side. All right, So Donald John Trump up 15 points over Biden with independents. I think this is very significant, and this is according to the latest CBS poll. So he's up in the Real Clear Politics average against Biden and up nearly 50 points in the Fox News primary poll. So what do you think is driving this latest round of success and momentum from Donald Trump? What can you point to?
I've got to tell you, Kimberly, I'm a veteran of 13 national Republican presidential campaigns. I've been involved in over 700 campaigns nationwide. I'm a 45-year veteran in American politics. I've never seen anything like the phenomena that is Donald Trump. The harder they hit him, the stronger he grows. I think that the entire effort to make him ineligible for the next election, to try to drain his campaign funds, so he has to spend the money on lawyers rather than on his campaign, the efforts to make him sit in a courtroom when he should be out campaigning, and their ongoing efforts to try to blacken his name, which is clearly not working, is just made him stronger. It is counterintuitive to everything I've ever seen in politics. The president kind of touched on this in his Meet the Press interview, in which he played rope-a-dope with this new Welker woman. I thought he was absolutely brilliant in his performance at his absolute combative best. But I think he's right. The American people are on to this whole thing. The idea that you can't challenge the anomalies and irregularities in a public election, that is somehow seditious or treasonous or criminal, is an absurdity. Every American has a First Amendment right to question the outcome of election. The lawyers working for him have a right to try to go out and collect documentation of voter fraud. So their entire master plan to sideline Donald Trump has backfired in spectacular fashion. Now, I worked for Ronald Reagan. Ronald Reagan was a great president. He was extraordinarily popular. Probably prior to Donald Trump, the most popular president in history. But even the great Ronald Reagan never had poll numbers like these. And it's not just that Trump's vote share is growing. It's also that the intensity of the support he does have is becoming rock solid. That's a phenomenon.
That's very important.
You have to look into the crosstabs to understand that. But those who are for Trump will not leave him for any circumstance, for any reason, which is why I really think it's time for Governor DeSantis to hang it up. I mean, stick a fork in him. He's done.
I agree. It's really true. People started calling for that a little bit ago, but now it's like, come on, folks. You had your chance. You did the debate. Now is the second congressional debate at the great Reagan, Ronald Reagan Library in California coming up. So we'll have to figure that all out. But let's contrast for a moment, if we shall, the just 26% of registered voters believing Biden has the cognitive health or acuity ability to be president. How do you run a campaign, Roger, when a huge, significant majority of voters don't even think you are capable mentally to do the job?
Look, I think it is meaningful that in the last several weeks you've had CNN, you've had the Wall Street Journal, you've had this USA Today poll showing declining confidence in Joe Biden's ability to do the job, to finish the term. 2/3 of Democrats in the CNN poll want to nominate someone else. They are clearly tossing the banana peel underneath Joe Biden's feet. They're preparing to remove him. I have said for well over a year, I do not think he will be the Democratic nominee. I still believe that Michelle Obama, who, as we all know, is non-political, is waiting in the wings. And Barack Obama, in a sense, I think, has given the signal. When the New York Times has an op-ed that says, why don't people like Joe Biden? Why is Joe Biden so unpopular? When the stories about the Biden family corruption finally begin to get the kind of coverage that these stories deserve on the basis of facts, I think the ruling elite of the Democratic Party have made a decision that Joe is dispensable. Now, I think Jill Biden and Vice President Kamala Harris, worrying about where she ends up in this shuffle, they may be digging in their heels. So at this moment, I think there's huge internecine warfare going on in the Democratic Party as Democrats realize that if Joe Biden is allowed to head their ticket in the next national election, he's going to take the entire underticket down with him, and they know it.
Oh, I think you're absolutely right. I love the banana peel thing. But by the way, what are they going to do? So it's going to be like a reality show called like Corpse Swap. What are they going to do? Swap out Joe Biden for Fetterman? Could you imagine that? Nothing would surprise me at this point. But, you know, they don't have a good bench, though, Roger. That's why they have to go to the basketball bench and put in, you know, the strong forward or center, Michelle Obama, to come in. Because they feel that she's their best chance. Because who else are you going to get? A member of the squad? You know, it just, there isn't anybody. Think about it.
Well, first of all, I don't think in their party you could replace a woman of color, Kamala Harris, who would be next in line normally as the sitting vice president if Joe Biden decided not to run, unless you do so with a woman of color who's immensely more popular. And I have to admit, better spoken than Kamala Harris. And then the problem for Gavin Newsom, who's obviously a very skilled politician, is nominating a white male in their party as it's currently constituted to replace a woman who's in line. Kamala Harris is a very difficult trick, which is why I still believe that he'll end up on the national ticket, but as a candidate for vice president.
And I could see Michelle Obama, Gavin as, you know, VP. But by the way, they can play basketball together. He's actually a pretty good basketball player. I think they're close to the same height. Ay, Dios mío, what's happening to this country? Now, looming above all of this is that Donald Trump may have to, quote, leave ostensibly the campaign trail to sit in a courtroom with these sham indictments for these show trials. You're a brilliant strategist. How does this affect sort of the structure and the organization of the campaign, you know, on the ground? What's the real likelihood of this? How should it be played out?
Well, the part of it that I find most troubling now is a motion by the special counsel to essentially gag Donald Trump so that he cannot defend himself and publicly on these charges, which of course he correctly sees as a broader part of the political campaign against him. So a narrowly tailored gag order, which I think would be unconstitutional, is really problematic for his campaign. Now, NBC incorrectly reports today that I was subjected to a gag order. That part is correct, but that I violated it, was held in contempt. That's false.
Right, that's
and
not
that
true.
my bail was not revoked and I was not incarcerated. My fear, of course, is that they will put this unconstitutional gag order in place. I would imagine the president's lawyers will challenge it on constitutional grounds immediately. I would hope so. But while that matter is pending, and believe me, the courts will not address it quickly, he would technically be under the order if the judge grants it. And if he violates it, yes, the judge could actually incarcerate him. It's a nightmare scenario, but it's a very realistic one. As far as the courtroom is concerned, frankly, Donald Trump can campaign from wherever he is if he's free to speak. He has to be free to speak. And then there is the question, and look, Kimberly, you're an attorney, I'm not, but if the president is allowed to introduce evidence in his various trials that shows that he didn't lose the election, then this entire matter could backfire in spectacular fashion against them, and he could win despite these interruptions in his schedule. We do know this, one lesson from 2020. Trump on the stump, when he can do these massive rallies, is at his effective best. They recognized it. They recognized it in 2020. That's why they used the pandemic to keep him from doing his massive rallies. Now they seek to use these trials to keep him from doing his massive and extraordinarily effective rallies. People need to recognize that when he goes to a local media market in a swing state, he so completely dominates the news that he gains votes just by visiting. So I think that is, they're trying to get him off of his proven campaign tactical game plan.
Sure. And there's also some new data coming out from Rasmussen that 38% of voters are considering a third-party candidate. How does this play into this, you know, the whole schematic? Does it benefit Donald Trump? Who's the one to benefit from this? Is it RFK Jr.? How do you see it?
Well, first of all, we don't know who the Democratic candidates are. So when people say to me, well, who do you like for Trump's vice president? My answer is tell me who the Democrats are first, and then I'll tell you. We can't even tell you for certain who the Democrats are. Secondarily, the notion of an independent candidacy, while it sounds really, really good on paper, it is extremely problematic,
Yeah.
legally extremely expensive, highly technical, and very, very difficult to get on the ballot in enough states to potentially win 270 electoral votes. Robert Kennedy,
Very
if he is
difficult.
if he's really considering this, and I hear that he is, but I don't know that firsthand, he's got to make a decision fairly soon because the deadlines for an independent candidacy are pretty much in line with the deadlines for filing to contend for the Democratic nomination. You cannot do one until you decide to abandon it and then have time to collect the signatures and get on the ballot. Now, there will be a minor party candidate on the ballot. I predict in 48 or 49 states, and that is Professor Cornel West will be on the ballot as the Green Party candidate. The Green Party has automatic ballot access in probably 30 states. They have the wherewithal and the experience and the track record of petitioning their way on in the other 20 states. So there's going to be a progressive alternative on the ballot this November, regardless. I don't think Robert Kennedy has the luxury to wait on this decision. He's either got to decide to contend within a rigged and stacked democratic process, in which, in all honesty, those who run the Democratic Party through the manipulation of the primary and caucus schedule, plus their use of super delegates, will never give him a level playing field, will never allow him to debate Joe Biden or whoever their candidate may be, and will never give him a fair, open shot at this nomination. And then the question, which I have seen no polling on, is even if he were to get on the ballot as an independent, which again, I stress is extremely difficult, technically, legally, in terms of manpower and know-how. Where do those votes come from? Do they come from Joe Biden or the Democrat, or do they come from Donald Trump? I've seen no polling on this. I would only be hazarding a guess. I think he's a positive force in this campaign. I think he's the only Democrat I can think of who wants to seal the border. He's the only Democrat who doesn't want to give a couple $1 billion to Iran to re-up their nuclear weapons program. He's the only Democrat who's skeptical about shipping billions more to Ukraine. He makes an enormous amount of good sense on the housing issue, for example. I wish that they would give him a fair chance to compete, but as Bernie Sanders learned the hard way, that is never going to happen.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. And I like that you tell the truth. You know, you're just calling it out like you see it. So, and the primary, essentially, let's be honest, it seems like it's all right because, I mean, there's nobody's going to be able to catch Trump. There's nobody else that's viable there. How do you see the other candidates structuring their, you know, messaging moving forward? We have still, nevertheless, the second presidential debate coming forward. Is there anyone in that whole group that you kind of see being in line for a cabinet position or a potential VP slot?
Well, first of all, I think any candidate who attacks Donald Trump or his record misunderstands the makeup of the modern day Republican Party. Donald Trump has totally remade this party in his image. We are the party of working class Americans. We are the party of the middle class. We are the party of America first. We are no longer the country club Wall Street party of the Bushes. So candidates like Chris Christie or Mike Pence, who go in and criticize Donald Trump, I think do so at a huge expense to themselves. The reason that Vivek Ramaswamy, who I think is very glib and very impressive, a lot of questions about his background, but I think he has run a data-driven campaign, and he is smart enough to recognize that this is Donald Trump's party. If you attack Donald Trump within the confines of the Republican Party, the only place you're going is down. There's the amazing thing about this first debate is, first of all, the clear winner of the debate is the guy who didn't participate. Donald Trump won the debate by not being there. He has an ability to command the news cycle by not being there. Never mind being there and taking incoming from 6 people with an unfriendly moderator, which is what he would have had. I think he's going to win the second debate by not being there. Governor DeSantis just hurts himself, again, attacking Donald Trump, the most pro-life president in our history, the man who appointed the Supreme Court justices who overturned Roe to properly turn the abortion question back to the states. Ron DeSantis now wants to believe that Donald Trump is pro-abortion simply because he says if we lead with that issue as our primary focus in the next presidential election, we will lose because there is no national consensus on it.
That's it. I know. That's just strategy and just being smart. He's being honest. That doesn't mean that when it came push to shove, he didn't do the right thing. He did. So this is, just nonsense. It's nonsensical. So,
sad fact that in the country, I think, sadly, a majority, if you take the people on the extremes, of which I am one, because I'm pro-life, and those who are pro-abortion, those are single issue voters. The voters in the middle probably favor legal abortion, but they want many, many, many restrictions on it. They don't want abortion on demand. If the Republican Party wants to wrap its entire appeal to the voters on the abortion issue, Donald Trump is right. We will lose.
No, you're absolutely right. And I think it's obvious. We see what the direction things are going in. I know we'll be broadcasting and be there at the presidential debate, the second one, but I think it's much like the first one, nothing much to see here, folks, in terms of any other viable alternative. Maybe at best it's an audition for a cabinet position or VP, but I don't know. Let's see. None of them can so far scratch the surface, compared to Donald Trump and his charisma and his talent set and skill and ability and the way he can command, a room and just capture attention and capture hearts and minds.
I'm sure you're going to be there wearing your Rumble hat. I look forward to you being thrown out yet again. Amazing to me that they would not allow you or Don Jr. into the debate, given the important play you play with Rumble. By the way, I'm really, really proud. Last Friday, my Rumble show, my show, The Stone Zone on Rumble, had the largest number of views we've ever had. Last time I looked, I think we were somewhere near 177,000 views.
Phenomenal.
I love Rumble. I really do.
Rumble is the absolute best, So, yeah, we'll be there, and let's see what happens. We did make it inside the room to try to make a big fuss about it, but we proceeded to have a 30-minute press gaggle that was far more interesting than anything else was going on in the room. But you know how he and I roll. We don't care. We got the honey badger in us, sweetheart. You're the best, Roger, my friend. Thank you so much, and I know you're coming up live at 5 on the Stone Zone. The man with the common sense, the class, the style. He's my buddy. I love him. You're the best, honey.
Thank you. Folks can see you right here on Rumble. God bless you.
All right. Tune into him. All right. And much more to come with your favorite lawyer, Mike Davis, coming up here on the Kimberly Guilfoyle Show. And I'm also keeping an eye on the live chat. It's blown up, and we'll respond to your questions and your comments throughout the show. So make sure you hit it, and subscribe so you never miss an episode. It's all of you who make this show possible, along with our incredible sponsors. So be sure, please, to go check out the great folks over at Goldco, because gold and silver can protect your retirement savings from inflation and dollar devaluation. I mean, look, let's be honest, right? We all see the economic warning signs. We see the banks collapsing. We see reckless spending. I want you to be ready, because I'm ready. With Goldco, you can take action to secure and stabilize your portfolio. Take your future and your savings into your own hands. Roll over your 401k or IRA into precious metals and safeguard your savings. You can do this all tax and penalty free. So from precious metals, IRAs, to direct purchases of gold and silver, Goldco has helped thousands of Americans place over $2 billion in gold and silver. And when you open up a qualifying gold IRA today, you can get up to $10,000 in free silver. So please, if you could go to kimsmetals.com to learn more, that's kimsmetals.com. Because those folks at Goldco, they're very helpful. They'll walk you through the entire thing and take care of it for you. And now turning to another development in the chronicles of Hunter Biden, as Joe Biden's son is now suing the IRS. He's got nerve, claiming that whistleblower agents tried to embarrass him by bringing forward evidence of his shady tax schemes. I mean, the crack attack wasn't enough, videotaping yourself with all the hookers, so now the IRS has embarrassed you, Hunter Biden? That's rich. So now his lawsuit seeks for the court to declare that the IRS willfully, knowingly, and or by gross negligence unlawfully disclosed his confidential tax information. Now, of course, it comes on the heels of Hunter finally facing some accountability for his web of crimes and corruption. Hunter was recently charged with 3 crimes relating to his lies on a gun application back in 2018. But that should be just the start of many more indictments for FARA violations, acting as an unregistered foreign agent, and tax evasion. So don't be fooled by what could be part of just another cover-up by special counsel David Weiss. All right, joining us now, here to break it all down, Article 3 Project founder, your favorite lawyer, Mike Davis. So Mike, thanks for being on the program. So first, what's behind this Hunter lawsuit? What statutes are at play? And really, what's his true motivation? How does this one play out?
This is a frivolous lawsuit by Hunter Biden and his high-powered Democrat attorney, Abby Lowell. They are trying to intimidate, they're trying to retaliate, and they're trying to send a shot across the bow to future potential whistleblowers that if you come forward against Hunter, you're going to pay a political and legal price. This to me seems like obstruction of a congressional investigation and an obstruction of justice to bring a frivolous lawsuit like this against federal whistleblowers who have a statutory right, a statutory duty to report this wrongdoing in the Biden Justice Department, this cover-up for Hunter Biden within the Biden Justice Department. And for Hunter Biden and his lawyer, Abby Lowell, to file this lawsuit, I think it's frivolous, and I think that we need to look at, when Trump is back in office, obstruction of justice, obstruction of congressional investigations, and maybe potential charges here. I think we also need to look at an ethics complaint against Abby Lowell, because I think this is a frivolous lawsuit. And this seems like a conspiracy to commit a crime by Hunter Biden and his attorney Abby Lowell. You don't get an attorney-client privilege when you're committing a crime here, and threatening, intimidating witnesses or potential witnesses or whistleblowers, that is a crime.
No, you're absolutely right. So then, potentially there should be sanctions, levied in this case as well. So what is your advice for the House GOP on addressing the Biden family corruption? Like, what's your, you say, hey, this is what I think they should do. Your best, most sound advice for investigating and proceeding forward on this. Does a subpoena need to be sent to Hunter? And how would you like to see that play out?
Yeah, so it's time for House Republicans to take off the kid gloves. It's time for them to subpoena Hunter Biden, subpoena his documents, make him come in for a staff deposition, and make him testify publicly. And I've said this before, there is no chance that Hunter Biden is going to spend a day in jail. David Weiss has protected the Bidens for years. David Weiss has let the statute of limitations expire on federal tax evasion charges for millions of dollars in unpaid taxes. David Weiss has ignored and lied to federal IRS agents, saying that he didn't have the power to indict when in fact he did, or either Garland or Weiss is lying about this. But it's time for House Republicans to subpoena Hunter Biden. If he pleads the Fifth Amendment, grant him use immunity to testify, because you know what? He's not going to be held accountable anyway. Joe Biden will pardon him after November 5th, 2024. David Weiss will either dismiss these criminal charges with prejudice or come to another sweetheart deal with a backdoor pardon and no jail time. And remember, David Weiss pursued a charge here that does not tie to Joe Biden. Tax evasion, wire fraud, Foreign Corrupt Practices Act, unregistered foreign agents, foreign corruption, foreign bribery, those tie to President Biden. David Weiss did not charge Hunter Biden with those. He charged with this gun crime that it is constitutional dubious. It's not even clear that this is a constitutional crime based upon current federal decisions. I think there's a Fifth Circuit decision on this. And so it's time for House Republicans to say, you know what, it is more important to get to the bottom of whether the President of the United States is compromised and subject to blackmail by foreign governments than it is to put a crackhead with a gun in jail.
Terrible. Can you even imagine this? This is, what we're reduced to. So Jack Smith is also pushing for a gag order in the January 6th D.C. case, limiting what Donald Trump would be able to say about the case while he's campaigning. So what must Jack Smith show legally to meet this standard and to get this granted? And how far, essentially, can a gag order go before it actually, infringes on the First Amendment rights?
This is a ridiculous request by Jack Smith, who is used to being overturned unanimously by the Supreme Court, like he did with the prosecution of Virginia Governor Bob McDonnell for corruption charges, bogus corruption charges. You know, Kimberly, that the Sixth Amendment protects the criminal defendants, not the government's, right to a fair trial, a speedy trial, and a public trial. The First Amendment protects Americans, not the government's, right to speak out against the government. And that is particularly true for a criminal defendant. He has the absolute right to speak out about the judge, about the prosecutor, about the process. I think the only way you can gag a criminal defendant and have it pass constitutional muster is if he's making threats against the jurors, right? Mm-hmm. Threats against the judge, threats against the jurors, threats against the prosecutors. And it wouldn't be through a gag order that you would do that. You would do that through obstruction of justice and witness tampering standards, which is a very high standard. To gag a criminal defendant is something that you would do in a third world Marxist hellhole, which is what Joe Biden and these Democrat prosecutors have turned America into. Think about this. You want to charge someone with bogus charges, and then during a presidential campaign, and then you want to gag him so he can't speak out with a vague protective order, a gag order. It's the sword of Damocles. So if President Trump speaks out during the campaign and says Judge Tanya Shukin, this Obama judge, is a partisan hack, which she is, then he's going to go to jail for that. Are you kidding me?
It's crazy. It's crazy, but you wouldn't put it past them because they'll try anything. Now, you've said before, and people are copying it, they're picking up on it, that these cases, end up ultimately before the United States Supreme Court. Can you predict any time frame, just chronologically, logistically, for this to play out? Because a lot of people are worried about them sidelining Donald Trump by sticking him in a courtroom where he has to sit there and make a personal appearance, where they take him off the campaign trail. Roger Stone and I were talking about this because they know how effective he is with the rallies. They did it very effectively with the, COVID, quote, crisis, the Fauci manufactured nonsense, so that Biden didn't have to campaign and, couldn't go out and do the rallies and et cetera, et cetera. So how do you see this playing out now, and in terms of, start to finish and the direct impact it could have on the campaign? Yeah,
so the Democrats impeached President Trump twice. They indicted him 4 times, and then they brought several civil lawsuits, including New York Attorney General Tish James bringing a civil fraud claim for a businessman paying back sophisticated Wall Street banks in full with interest. And guess what? It's backfiring on the Democrats. They've turned President Trump into Tupac, and he's going to get back in the White House. And now what they want to do is silence him, gag him, and imprison him. And it's not going to work. And what President Trump needs to do ASAP is file a motion to dismiss both of these January 6th indictments, the one in D.C. with deranged Jack Smith, and then the one down in Atlanta with doofus, Fulton County DA Fannie Willis, both partisan hacks. File a motion to dismiss immediately under presidential immunity. What President did as the President of the United States in his official capacity is protected by presidential immunity. Alternatively, if he acted within his personal capacity, it's protected by the First Amendment. The presidential immunity piece of that is immediately appealable all the way to the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court here needs to do its job. They can't hide. They can't run and hide here. The country is on the line. These are Republic-ending tactics, and these Republican-appointed Supreme Court justices need to find their backbones, like they lost during the 2020 presidential election. And this is so much bigger than Trump. Yeah. This is so much bigger than the presidency. This is about our country.
You're absolutely right. And it's a magnificent, quick, swift ability to be able to get in there and get due process, to file these motions to dismiss that immediately, if not granted, can go up through the appellate court and through the United States Supreme Court, where they can actually get some very quick, hopefully swift justice on it, and a ruling that is, definitive, that can determine this outcome versus playing it out through this show trial only to end up at the United States Supreme Court. So procedurally, it's genius, and it's imperative that they do it. So let's talk about this, some of the tools in the toolbox. Beyond the Supreme Court, Congress can send over criminal referrals, but The Biden DOJ obviously will not prosecute any of those criminal referrals that are sent over. So what can our state attorney generals perhaps do? What other ideas do you have there?
Yeah, the state AGs, remember, they're charging racketeering down in Georgia for the non-crime of objecting to a presidential election, which is allowed by the Electoral Count Act of 1887. Twisting arms politically is allowed by the First Amendment, yet this doofus, Fannie Willis down in Georgia, is charging Trump and 18 others with racketeering. Somehow it's racketeering to object to a presidential election. So it sounds like Republican state attorneys general, Republican DAs, to the extent that any of them have backbones, need to step up here. We have clear crimes by Biden and his family. We have clear foreign corruption. We have clear wire fraud. We have clear being an unregistered foreign agent. We have clear bribery. We have clear money laundering. If they step foot into a Republican jurisdiction, or if any money went to a Republican bank anywhere, they need to start moving forward with the investigations aggressively. This is a zero-sum game. These are real crimes by the Bidens, and they're prosecuting Trump and his top aides and his supporters for non-crimes. It's time for Republicans to get tough. They have sat on the sidelines for over a year. I've been warning about this. So have you, Kimberly, for the last year, that if you let these people run wild, it's a zero-sum game. If they're on offense, they're not on defense. And if they're on defense, they're not on offense. Let's put them on defense.
You're absolutely right. And I want to tell you something. Some of this stuff, with Hunter and whatnot, the investigations, the clear evidence of corruption and influence peddling should have been done. In the DOJ, with Bill Barr, what was he waiting for?
Bill Barr, for the last 6 months of his tenure as the Attorney General, I think he the left got to him after the BLM riots, and so he just decided for the last 6 months that he was going to turn on Trump and undermine Trump, and he let BLM and Antifa destroy our country for 6 months, billions of dollars in damage.
That's why I'm calling it out.
Courthouse.
He should have done it. He should have done something. So I don't just point partisan fingers. I say, hey, this guy should have done it. He should have followed the law, honored his oath, and actually prosecuted these crimes, put the cases forward. Instead, he hid and cowered. They got to him, and now he's been doing the same nonsense and, attacking Trump and making excuses, and it's pathetic. But, we call it like it is, you and I do, and on this show, because we know it should have happened. But do you think we're still going to see the rest of these crimes that we have, facts and evidence and law to support it actually come to fruition?
So this is what I would say. House Republicans, again, give Hunter Biden immunity, make him testify. If he lies, the Trump Justice Department, after January 2025, can prosecute him for lying. They can prosecute him for obstruction. They can prosecute him from contempt. And going back to Bill Barr, remember Bill Barr in early 2020 got evidence that he sent to the Pittsburgh U.S. Attorney's Office of the Bidens' foreign corruption, foreign bribery with Burisma. The Pittsburgh U.S. Attorney deemed it credible. Bill Barr, for some reason, sent it to this Democrat-picked U.S. Attorney in Delaware, David Weiss, and didn't think it would be a good idea to follow up, didn't think it'd be a good idea to notify bipartisan congressional leadership that, hey, we have credible evidence that a potential president of the United States could be compromised by foreign bribes, could be compromised by blackmail, and Bill Barr didn't do a damn thing about this. Bill Barr is a disgrace, and he really fell down on the job by not following up, because now we have a president of the United States who is compromised by tens of millions of dollars in foreign bribes and other corruption from Ukraine, from Russia, from China, from Romania. Who the hell knows where else? This president of the United States is compromised, and it leads to disastrous consequences. President Obama put Vice President Biden in charge of Ukraine. The Biden family went on the take. Putin smelled Biden's weakness and corruption, took Crimea. 4 years of peace and prosperity in Ukraine under Trump. Biden's back, and Putin wants to take the rest of Ukraine because Putin knows that Biden is weak and corrupt and compromised. They have 17 audio recordings, 15 with Hunter, 2 with then Vice President Joe Biden, shaking down a $10 million bribe from this Burisma executive who's almost certainly a Russian asset.
It's unbelievable. It's so outrageous. But, you know, I'll tell you something. Trump gets in 2024, like, gloves are off. Like, that's it. And the American people will expect it. They will expect him to make sure and to have a DOJ that's going to prosecute and investigate this, and justice delayed, not justice denied. In a Trump second term, you know, what really is the roadmap to completely dismantle this like corrupt federal bureaucracy? Because the president can hire and he can fire political appointees, but what can he do about some of these career bureaucrats? I'm often asked this.
Yeah, I mean, one thing he can do is reassign them to the southern border, right? Reassign all these FBI agents, reassign all these censors at DHS, put their asses down on the southern border and let them process these.
See how they like that?
Yeah, third world economic migrants. You're going to be changing diapers down on the border, guys. So that's the first thing they can do. Okay,
well, that's perfect. So let's see. Well, look, I somehow, despite all the corruption and lack of follow through with the justice, going back even with Bill Barr, I'm actually feeling a little bit optimistic about this. You excited me with all these legal ideas, and I'm looking forward to the Supreme Court putting their big boy pants on and getting the job done as well, like you always do. Mike Davis, always a pleasure to have you on the program, and you're fantastic, and I hope everything that you say comes true, okay? Article 3 Project, check it out. And my closing remarks just ahead, and I'll respond to your questions and comments, but first, some quick words from our sponsors who help make this show possible. And don't forget about Patriot Mobile, okay? Because with Patriot Mobile, you put America first with every call, all while getting the same nationwide coverage as major carriers. Patriot Mobile provides you dependable wireless service at an affordable price, putting your dollars into action and supporting freedom-loving values. They donate, and this is important, a portion of every dollar to support groups that fight for the First Amendment, fight for the right to bear arms, fight for the sanctity of life, and fight to protect our brave police and first responders. Never forget, Patriot Mobile is mobilizing freedom all while supporting you. For free activation, please go to patriotmobile.com/KG. That's patriotmobile.com/KG. And I also want to bring you a message from Patriot Lifestyle, where you can save more and spend less on a whole host of different benefits, from non-insurance healthcare benefits to savings on travel, identity theft, legal services, and even pet care. Take a look. Guilfoyle here, and I'm so excited to introduce the Patriot Lifestyle Benefits Program. With our Patriot Lifestyle Benefits Program, you get a range of non-insured healthcare benefits at an affordable price, so you can save money, stay healthy, and stay secure. For example, need to consult with a doctor 24/7 without leaving your home? Our telemedicine service gives you the ability to talk with a board-certified physician in your state with no per-visit fees. And what about keeping that healthy smile and clear vision? Our dental and vision discounts will keep you smiling and seeing clearly, all at a great price. And when visiting patriotbenefits.net, don't forget to download your free Freedom RX Pharmacy Discount Card in appreciation for your continued support. But that's not all. Our program goes beyond just health and wellness. We also offer identity theft protection, so you can stay on top of any unauthorized, fraudulent, or illegal activity. And you also have access to free and discounted legal services, so you can protect your rights and receive top legal advice without breaking the bank. And even take care of your furry friends with discounts on pet food, toys, medicine, grooming, and even trips to the vet. Plus, enjoy peace of mind on the highway with our roadside assistance program. Now, as a member of our Patriot Lifestyle Benefits Program, you'll have access to exclusive discounts with NB Cash Back, so you can save even more on your everyday expenses like groceries, restaurants, and even auto services. And with NB Travel, you can experience more but spend less by enjoying deep discounts on flights, hotels, and so much more. At no additional cost, these benefits are available to you and your immediate family to use anytime, anywhere. Our program is designed specifically for America First patriots like you, who understand the importance of not just a great dollar value, but the need to let your dollars reflect your values and supporting companies who support you. And the best part of all of this, our benefits are at below market prices, so you can enjoy them while living the Patriot lifestyle to the fullest. So don't miss out. Visit our website at patriotbenefits.net. That's patriotbenefits.net. Thank you again for choosing the Patriot Lifestyle Benefits Program, where real benefits and real savings are our top priority. Join us today and start saving now. And you can go to patriotbenefits.net to learn more, because these programs all come at extraordinary value and will greatly improve your life. So we're going to take some questions. It's called Q&A with KG. And please like and subscribe down below. To be sure to download the Rumble app. Follow my show. Follow Donald Trump Jr. show, who's got a big show coming up in just 1 hour from now, live on Rumble. All right, what's our first question, Drew?
The user Deco Queen, make members of Congress wear shirts with their donors so we know who owns them.
That's pretty funny. So we were talking about this earlier with the Stone Zone and Stone Style Master Roger Stone about how ridiculous it is that Chuck Schumer is relaxing the clothing and dress requirements in the Senate to accommodate this buffoon Fetterman that looks like a living, walking dead, corpse, so that he can wear his hoodies and his basketball shorts instead of showing the respect for the office that he holds. And yeah, I think that's a good idea. Let him wear all the donors on the chest so we know who's funding this kind of embarrassment and shenanigans with that freak show stunt double from the Addams Family. Okay, next one. I can't stand that guy.
Magic Man Patriot 1776, not happy with Bill Barr, says he abandoned us.
Yes, that's a problem. There's a lot of discontent, and it's well placed that Bill Barr abandoned his office and his duties to serve as the Attorney General of the United States, serving in the Department of Justice, where he actually just served to further more injustice by not actually prosecuting the cases. For example, you see the plethora of an abundance of evidence against Hunter Biden, the Biden crime family, for all the corrupt undue influence and foreign peddling that they were doing. Now it's just slap on the wrist with some, failure to fill out the gun application, correctly, lying on that. Okay, great. What about all the rest of the meat and potatoes in terms of what he's done and the crimes that he has committed? And, Mike Davis said, oh, why don't you go ahead and give him immunity, and then you can prosecute him later for lying under oath, etc., in terms of when President Trump gets in, and refer that to the DOJ. So there's a lot going on here, but it's always something interesting to watch. That's for sure, and at least we're moving forward, and we also need to make sure that the men and women in Congress actually step up and do something and use that subpoena power and get to the bottom of these investigations. Even if they refer to the DOJ, that's on the DOJ if they don't proceed forward with it. But when we have a DOJ that's actually honest and someone appointed by President Trump, then all of that will come to fruition. So might as well get those investigations in, those referrals, so they're ready to go on day one. Sound good? All right. Thank you for all your questions and comments, and continue the conversation. Hop on over to Locals at the end of this program. And in closing, as Democrats double down on their dangerous, destructive, and delusional agenda, Donald Trump is overcoming all of it. It's why the primary is over, folks, why it's time to unify and use all of the resources to defeat Joe Biden or whoever the Democrats end up running in 2024. We never said it was going to be easy, but it matters more than ever. And we're here to bring you a front row seat to all of it, right here on Rumble, where we reject the false narrative and always seek the truth. So be sure, please, to like and subscribe to my channel at Kimberly Guilfoyle and Donald Trump Jr.'s channel. Turn on notifications, download the Rumble app, and tell all your friends so they know exactly where to find us. And also be sure to follow both of us, Don Jr. and myself, across all platforms. X, formerly known as Twitter, Truth Social, Facebook, and Instagram. And guess what? We got another big one coming up, baby. Don't miss Don Jr.'s big show tonight, right here on Rumble with Kash Patel. You don't want to miss it. Hop on over for a few moments to Locals with yours truly for a live Q&A. Hope you have a great rest of the day, and I'll talk to you again soon.